At 80 years old, Burt Ward reveals shocking secrets about his size. Can you believe it? The hero Robin from the legendary Batman series in 1966 is now sharing behind-the-scenes stories that few people know. These secrets not only shock Hollywood but also reflect a conservative era, where even superhero costumes could cause a scandal. Today, in this video, we will explore Burt Ward's life journey, from a prodigy ice skater child to a cultural icon, and the shocking revelations he has recently disclosed. First, let's go back in time to Burt Ward's early years. Born on July 6, 1945 in Los Angeles, California, Burt, whose real name is Burt John Gervis Jr., grew up in a colorful and adventurous family. His father, Burt Sr., was the owner of a traveling ice skating show called Rhapsody on Ice, a performance program that toured all over the United States, bringing joy to thousands of audiences. Imagine, in the 40s and 50s, when World War II had just ended and life was still full of hardships. But Burt's family roamed on glittering ice rinks, with neon lights and lively background music. Burt Jr., at only 2 years old, became a professional ice skater. He was illustrated in Strange as It Seems magazine as a strange phenomenon, a 2-year-old boy gliding on ice like a true artist, with graceful movements that even adults had to admire. That magazine specialized in strange stories from around the world, and Burt was honored as a true prodigy. I recall those old days, when we were young. Stories about talented children always sparked curiosity and admiration. Burt not only skated but also performed in front of crowds, learning to balance on thin blades, and facing pressure from an early age. That was his first life lesson in discipline and perseverance, qualities that later helped him overcome many challenges in his Hollywood career. I can picture that scene, a tiny child, with ice skates sparkling under the stage lights, thunderous applause from the audience, and the proud smiles of his parents. That was the beginning of a life full of adventure, where the stage became his second home. Burt also had the nickname Sparky, because he could touch his 2 skate blades together to create sparks in the dark, a performance trick that amazed everyone. What a dynamic and creative boy. And like many kids of that time, Burt was obsessed with comic books. He collected and traded them with friends, those thin paper books with vivid drawings of superheroes flying in the sky. But his favorites were Superman and Superboy, characters representing strength and justice. The TV show Adventures of Superman with George Reeves was his greatest joy, those black and white episodes that we eagerly awaited each week. Stories about superheroes ignited dreams in that boy's heart, teaching him about courage and morality. And who would have thought? Later, he would become part of that world, donning the Robin costume and fighting crime on the small screen. For our generation, comic books and superhero movies were not just entertainment, but also inspiration, helping us dream of a better world. And Burt Ward is proof that dreams can come true if we persistently pursue them. As he entered his teenage years, Burt continued to pursue his passion for sports seriously. He joined the track and field team, football, and wrestling at high school, where the matches not only built physical strength, but also fostered team spirit and healthy competition. Think about those golden sunny afternoons in California, Burt running on the track, sweat dripping but a smile always on his lips. He was a multi-talented athlete, but then, after a few karate classes, he truly fell in love with martial arts. Karate was still new in America at that time, and Burt was quickly drawn to the combination of strength, agility, and spiritual philosophy. He switched to Taekwondo and quickly achieved a brown belt, a significant accomplishment for a young man. Those training sessions lasted hours, with kicking, punching, and defensive moves, forging not only his body but also his will. That was the foundation that later helped him shine in the role of Robin, the energetic young man, ready to fight alongside Batman with spectacular action scenes. After high school, Burt attended college and passed the real estate broker exam, working for his father's company, a stable job but not his true passion. He moved out to live on his own in an apartment building, full of young artists pursuing their Hollywood dreams, with conversations about scripts, auditions, and hopes for success. That was the environment that nurtured his acting dream, even though at that time Burt hadn't thought about becoming a star. And here's the most interesting part of this period. In that apartment building, Burt met a special friend, Bruce Lee. Yes, the legendary martial artist Bruce Lee, who later became a global icon. They met when Burt returned from Taekwondo class with his sweaty uniform, and Bruce stopped him to ask about the martial art. From there, they quickly became friends, sharing their passion for martial arts. Burt was invited to dinner with the Lee family, meeting 6-month-old baby Brandon, who later became the star Brandon Lee, leaving his mark in the action film world before passing away too soon. Those dinners were full of warmth, with traditional Chinese dishes and conversations about martial arts techniques and life philosophies. They explored Chinatown in Los Angeles together, trying unfamiliar foods like dim sum or spicy stir-fried meat, and Burt learned a lot about East Asian culture from his new friend. Burt remembers that Bruce was on a completely different level, with extraordinary speed and strength, but their friendship was sincere, without regard for fame or status. That was in 1965, when both were still unknown, living in a modest apartment building and dreaming of the future. Who would have thought? Just a few years later, they would both appear on television, with Bruce as Kato in Green Hornet and Burt as Robin. That friendship is a beautiful lesson in humility and mutual support, something our generation always cherishes in this ever-changing life. Also that year, Burt married Bonnie Lindsay, the daughter of famous composer Mort Lindsay, who had composed for legends like Judy Garland and Barbra Streisand. That marriage was full of romance, with Bonnie as Burt's inspiration in his early career days. They had their daughter Lisa the following year, a great joy amid the busyness of life. But Burt's life was about to change forever when he heard about the upcoming Batman series casting. As a comic book fanatic, he decided to try out even though he had no acting experience. He loved Batman from the pages of books, just regretting it wasn't Superboy, the character he dreamed of most. Without an agent, Burt went to the agency himself, filled out the form with confidence from his martial arts and sports background. He showed up at the audition, showcasing his Taekwondo skills, brown belt, and even brought a friend to demonstrate throws and board breaking in front of the judges. Those moves not only showed strength, but also courage, leaving a deep impression on everyone. The producers were impressed, especially William Dozier, who saw in Burt the enthusiasm and brashness needed for the role of Robin. Burt competed with Peter Dale for the role of Robin, while Adam West and Lyle Waggoner vied for Batman. After many rounds of testing, with script readings and stunt performances, Burt was selected. He didn't know right away, having to wait 2.5 weeks in suspense. When the agency called, he signed the contract without caring about the salary, later regretting it because the pay was low compared to the show's success. He changed his name to Burt Ward because it sounded better and was easier to remember, avoiding mispronunciation of Jervis. The Batman series premiered in 1966, becoming a cultural phenomenon, with promotions everywhere from newspapers to TV. The production costs were high with the Batcave, Batmobile, the legendary car designed from the Lincoln Futura, and famous guest stars like Cesar Romero as Joker or Burgess Meredith as Penguin. But behind the scenes wasn't always as glamorous as on screen. Burt suffered continuous injuries, falling out of the Batmobile when the door opened unexpectedly, ears ringing from simulated explosion sounds, nose broken by a board falling from the ceiling. The hospital inquired because he came to the emergency room 4 times in 2 weeks, forcing the studio to improve safety to avoid lawsuits. Those injuries were not only physically painful, but also mentally challenging. But Burt always maintained a positive attitude, considering it part of the job. And then we come to the shocking secret that Burt revealed at 80, the scandal about his size. a story he kept secret for decades before sharing in his autobiography and interviews. Dear friend, imagine the era of 1966, when American society was still very conservative about morals and sexuality. The Batman series was for children and families, airing on ABC. But Robin's costume, tight green shorts and thin tights, was too revealing, especially with Burt Ward's natural physique. He created a bulge, a prominent protrusion in the genital area, something that today might be considered normal but back then was seen as a major scandal. Religious groups, especially the Catholic League of Decency, now the Catholic League for Religious and Civil Rights, an organization monitoring media content to protect Catholic morals, complained fiercely. They called it obscene, indecent, unsuitable for family television, threatening boycotts and pressuring the studio. That period, America was still heavily influenced by conservative standards post-war, with anti-pornography movements, and any suggestive element could bring down a successful show. To resolve it, they sent Burt to the studio doctor, a decision that sounds bizarre but reflects the pressures of the time. The doctor prescribed medication, probably to reduce testosterone or something similar, to shrink the size, reduce the bulge, and avoid losing the audience. Burt had to take it daily, a requirement that shocked him. He tried it for 3 days but stopped, worried about affecting his ability to have children later. He once said in an interview, "I decided that they could probably stop me from having kids," a statement full of emotion, showing the sacrifices artists had to endure. Instead, Burt used his cape to cover up in scenes, a simple but effective trick, and tried other measures like dancers' belts, jockstraps, thick underwear to conceal. Those efforts show his creativity and patience under pressure. The interesting and humorous thing is, Burt compared it to Adam West, the Batman role, his close friend. Burt's bulge was natural, while Adam had to stuff Turkish bath towels into his underwear to increase size, creating a more balanced and powerful image for the character. But the issue focused only on Burt, because Robin's costume was more revealing, with bright colors and a youthful design. This scandal was detailed by Burt in his autobiography Boy Wonder, My Life in Tights, in 1995, a book that shocked with many racy revelations, and repeated in a 2020 interview when receiving a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Newspapers like Page Six, Men's Health, HuffPost covered it widely, turning it into a topic of discussion about societal changes. From my perspective, this scandal is not only humorous but also profoundly thought-provoking. It reflects the pressure from a conservative society, where men's bodies were controlled as strictly as women's, and Hollywood had to comply to survive. Compared to today's era, 2025, when topics about body and sexuality are discussed more openly, with the body positivity movement, that scandal seems outdated. But it teaches us about gender injustices. Male leads were enhanced to look heroic, while natural features were criticized. Burt resiliently overcame it, turning adversity into an inspiring story, proving that true strength lies in sincerity and perseverance, a valuable lesson for our generation when looking back on our own lives. After the scandal, Burt threw himself into work to forget the pain of divorcing Bonnie, a difficult but necessary decision. He joined promotions for the series with Adam West, trips across America, from local TV stations to schools and major festivals. Imagine those days, Burt and Adam in Batman and Robin costumes, parading in parades, signing autographs for children, and bringing joy to everyone. Batman succeeded by appealing to all ages. Children loved the superheroes with humorous pow and bam. Adults liked the old comic stories from the 30s. Students were into the campy elements and pop culture references, and housewives were drawn to the subtle sensuality in dialogue and costumes. Burt recounted the wild life on the road, groupies surrounding them in every city. Older women, he was only 20 at the time, slipping notes and showing up at hotels. Those adventures were humorous and dangerous, like the time he almost got beaten by a jealous husband due to a mix-up from the previous week, fleeing in his underwear across the parking lot, with Adam laughing and teaching him to check for wedding rings. His friendship with Adam West lasted a lifetime, a beautiful bond. They appeared together thousands of times at conventions, talk shows, and events, right up until Adam's death in 2017. Adam was always the big brother, supporting Burt through difficulties, and they shared Batman memories like a family. With Bruce Lee, they reunited in the Batman Green Hornet crossover, a special episode. There was an initial misunderstanding because PR called Burt a black belt in karate, not accurate, only brown belt in taekwondo. But then they hugged and laughed, with Bruce refusing to lose to Robin in the script, demanding at least a tie to maintain his image. That's proof of friendship transcending fame, something we in our twilight years always cherish. In 1967, Burt married Kathy Kirsch, a supporting actress in Batman, whom he met on set and quickly fell in love with. They released their own records, with Burt singing Boy Wonder I Love You, written by Frank Zappa, and Kathy with a single produced by Burt. But the marriage ended in 1969, coinciding with the series ending after 3 seasons, leaving Burt in hardship. The 70s and 80s were a period of typecasting, with Burt only starring in low-budget films like the horror Scream, Evelyn Scream, or sci-fi Robo-Chick, where he saved the world from rebellious robots. He married a third time to Mariana Torchia in 1985, a short-lived relationship ending in 1989, teaching him about the fragility of love. But Burt's life brightened from 1990 when he married Tracy Posner, the woman who brought him true happiness. They are still together today, having daughter Melody in 1994, a great source of joy. Together, they founded Gentle Giants Rescue and Adoptions, an organization rescuing large dogs like St. Bernards and Great Danes. Starting from their love for animals, they have saved over 14,000 dogs, researched nutrition, and spent $3 million developing Gentle Giants food, increasing lifespan from 7 to 10 years to over 20. The product is sold at Walmart and Chewy.com, receiving high reviews from customers, proving it's never too late to do good. Burt Ward is now a living icon, inspiring our generation at 65 and older. From the size scandal to philanthropist, he proves that life is a journey of overcoming challenges, with lessons in resilience and kindness. That scandal reminds us of societal changes, from the conservative 60s to today's openness, where we can discuss more freely. Burt teaches us to live authentically, love animals, maintain friendships, and pursue passions even late in life. If you've ever watched Batman, remember Robin isn't just the boy beside Batman, but a man with an incredible story, full of emotions and lessons. Thank you for listening to this long video, where we have explored Burt Ward's journey in detail. If you like it, please like, subscribe, and comment your Batman memories, perhaps about the first time watching the series or the scandal that surprised you. We'll meet again in the next video with other stories from the golden past. Have a good day, and remember, life always has room for wonderful surprises.